Welcome to the Cabin Culture Podcast, where we spend a little more time diving deeper into all the fun parts of cabin culture. I like to think of this as both the material and imagined expressions of how cabin lovers, dwellers, builders, and designers wish to live a more simple and authentic life. Today, we're joined by Jack Stewart, Emmy-winning host of Rock the Park and creator of the YouTube channel Tiny Cabin Life. Jack's journey from national television to independent storytelling reflects the challenge a lot of us face: how to share our love for the outdoors while still preserving the experience itself. He's built 6 different cabins, many of them on wheels, including a 7 by 12 foot family setup and a 5 by 8 foot cabin he can tow behind a snowmobile. Along the way, he's discovered that authentic lived-in experiences resonate more than polished production ever could. In this episode, Jack opens up about building affordable, mobile cabins, balancing creativity with grief after losing his father, and what his golden retriever Ellie has taught him about adventures and companionship. Whether you're curious about tiny cabins, YouTube creation, or you just want fresh insight into living simply and authentically, Jack's story will both inspire and encourage you. Let's do it. It's good to meet you. I want to start, it's probably not the best place to start, but I was just watching videos from your YouTube channel and I saw that you lost your dad only 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, it's been really, really hard.
Yeah, I lost my mom. It'll be 9 years in August from cancer. So I just can deeply relate to like where you are right now. And I feel so sad when I saw that.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, there's just like an emptiness, that like you obviously know what it is because they passed, but like, yeah, just everything feels really off right now. But yeah, we're carrying on. I'm so glad I live like right up the road from my mom, so I'm able to be with her a lot, and my other siblings and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, obviously you know how hard it is, and it's just it's a journey that I'm at the beginning of, but
right. So. Well, I mean, he was battling it for 7 years, and I know how hard that time is too.
For sure.
So it feels like you're in the thick of it. I remember someone putting a name to it once, anticipatory grief. And I was like, oh, okay. This feeling of like preparing for something so horrible, but not being able to grieve just yet because they're still there.
Yeah. And you kind of like, you get desensitized in a lot, depending on how long the cancer journey is. For 7 years, we got desensitized and almost like we expected him to bounce back. Mm-hmm. Because he had so many like awesome things happen. Like at one point he was on this treatment and all of the cancer, they couldn't even see it in his body. Mm. It wasn't detectable anymore. So you kind of get used to like, oh, he can kind of take anything and he's always going to bounce back, while at the same time becoming desensitized to his limitations and everything. Cause at the end, like he could not do the things he used to do. And so I don't know, it's just a mix of stuff. And then, he had a downhill thing that he kind of went downhill fast. So kind of came out of nowhere ish, but it's like,
I know.
Years, so very hard and just, it sucks.
Yeah. Not where I want to start a podcast, but I also feel like in those early weeks, you're like moving around kind of numb. And when people don't know or acknowledge it, it just feels like this huge part of your humanness is like hidden, but not to you. I don't know how to explain it, but to not acknowledge it feels really wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, I was just in Wyoming on a trip and I was grateful to be able to do that because it's one of my dad's favorite places we went on trips together as a family many times, but I'm up at this lake and, I have these people coming over to me and they're just having a blast and, and like, I'm talking to this like dad and his son, and like, we're having like nice conversation. We're talking about all this. And then like down, in your gut, like there's just kind of this aching of like, oh man, like I'm missing my dad and stuff. And again, no one knows that except for you. But it again, even moments like that are kind of they're bittersweet because on the one hand it's sad you're missing this person, but on the other hand I'm fortunate, like I have these great memories with my dad, and so it's it's nice to be able to remember those too. So.
Yeah. I never really came to a good conclusion of because I would tell myself that too and felt it. But I'm like, damn, I don't know if that makes it easier for me. Does it make it harder
No.
that it was something so good
Yeah.
that I'm losing? Or does it make it easier because I'm so glad that I had it? I mean, both. It's both. But still, that makes it harder sometimes.
Yeah, you just have to, it's almost like a reframing thing in your
Yeah.
mind. I don't know if it makes it easier or not, but yeah.
I remember one time around that time, I was standing in line at the Apple store. I think like a new phone had come out or something. And there was a mother-daughter in front of me, and she was waiting to get her Apple phone, and they were bickering the whole time.
Gosh.
And I remember crying and just feeling so jealous. Like, I just want to fight with my mom. Like, you know, it's like, what a weird thing to like, but you take that for granted, or you even get upset when you're fighting. And I was like, man, what I wouldn't give to like annoy her right now.
I hear you. I know. It's so funny. And I'm about to go up actually to our family cabin tomorrow. And I'm going to do a bunch of work that needs to be done around there. And every time I would do that stuff with my dad, we would just bicker because he would do things differently than me.
Yes, and classic.
So now it's like, oh, I do it. You know, my family's coming with, but it's like now it's just all me. You know,
Yeah.
So it's like I would love to be able to argue with him over the decisions and all that. But
yeah, I remember in those early weeks, like the only people I really wanted to talk to were people who had gone through significant trauma. This sounds so horrible, or had experienced serious loss. Because I felt like they were the only people who understood me at that moment. And everyone else was just, I don't know, in a different world.
I know. It's true. It's very true.
Okay, I want to go to Ellie next because I literally, before we got on this call, was watching some of your videos, and I just watched the one where Ellie, I'm going to start crying, where Ellie picked you because I foster dogs and I have our current.
Yeah, I saw one running around back there.
Yeah, she's our current foster. She came to us pregnant. We've just raised her babies and she's leaving today. And I was watching that video and it was just so beautiful the way that you all found each other. Do you mind sharing for those that don't know?
Yeah. So my dog, Ellie, if you watch our YouTube channel, she's the one that people really love to watch. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like to pat myself on the back and say people like to watch me, but people love Ellie. She's my golden retriever and she is like the biggest adventure dog, go with the flow, dog I've ever had. And I grew up with dogs. I've had so many dogs, but she is just so loyal, so up for any adventure, any sort of thing. And the way I got her was so wild. So I used to live in Los Angeles, and over like the COVID season, I was helping this guy build it's like a glamping thing on his property in the middle of Los Angeles. So it was meant to be this kind of urban escape. Like you could kind of be in the city, but you could camp out, you'd have a fire, you'd sleep in a bell tent and stuff. Well, anyways, he had 3 golden retrievers, and at the time I didn't have a dog. And so I was working for him and I kind of got to know these dogs. But there was one that I really seemed to bond with because she just had just this like really nice temperament, really chill, but like just a real sweet temperament. But at the same time, I don't know, she almost felt like, I don't know, damaged is the wrong word. She felt like me, like a vulnerable soul, you know, like she's been through some stuff. Yeah. And so I was going camping up in Big Bear, which is the mountains kind of near LA. And my boss at the time asked if I wanted to take one of the dogs. And I was like, oh, sure, I'll take Ellie. And so I brought her with, and I set up this. At the time, I had wanted to build a cabin, but I lived in LA. I had nowhere to build it. I had nowhere to store it. So I kind of took this tent and I called it my portable cabin.
Yeah.
And so I set this whole thing up and I brought Ellie. And long story short, we just had this amazing adventure up there, swimming in the lake, hiking, just hanging out in the cabin, really bonding. And when I brought her back after that weekend, I opened the door to my car and I got this on. As soon as I saw this unfolding, I filmed it. She wouldn't get out of my car. That's
when I started to get so emotional watching her make the choice of like, no, I don't want to leave you.
I know. And I remember like even driving back, like, oh my gosh, even though I get to see this dog, you know, at work or whatever, I'm going to miss this dog. And so anyway, that happened. And actually remember if my boss actually saw that or knew that happened, but one way or another, he asked me if I wanted to adopt Ellie, which I couldn't imagine doing that, like this was his dog. He had her for 5 years. He had her mom, so he watched her be born and stuff. But he let me have Ellie. And ever since, we have been on so many adventures. And it is so funny because she grew up in Hancock Park in Los Angeles, which is a very like affluent area. Maybe once in a while, he told me like they would go to a dog park or something, but like she did not grow up like in the mountains or anything. And now like she's been on the back of a snowmobile, trekking through like Montana mountains, hiking, thousands of feet up and down of elevation, scrambling on rocks and crossing rivers. I mean, she's done all these things. You would think that she was like born in the mountains, but she just had it in her. And so she's my adventure buddy.
Do you think he knew that? Do you think because clearly he loved her. Do you think he saw like her life is going to be better with Jack than it is here?
I think so. Cause one of the funny things, he was really a character and he said, one of the things I remember him saying is he just goes, I was like, are you sure, you want me to take her? And he just goes, she won't even look back. Like, I think he knew that like, she like wasn't fitting in. I don't know.
Yeah. Pack dynamics are so important. We have 2 and we're about to adopt a third, one of our litter that we just raised. And this is what I stress about the most of like 3 could be the perfect fit for both of them. Or what if it throws off the pack dynamics?
Sure.
And you just don't know until you try it. But it sounds like he just knew and was like, I think this might be the place for her.
Yeah, so great. I can't even imagine my life without her now. And it's sad, I got her when she was 5, about to turn 6, and now she's 11. I'm like, I can't even believe I've had her so long, but yeah, she's a great dog.
Can I ask you a logistical question? When I see all these people going on big adventures with their dogs, I always wonder how they get them there. Do you just take her to places you can drive, or do you fly with her?
Yeah. So for the I always drive with her. And that's the hard part is, especially with my YouTube channel now, I've started getting to the point where like I can logistically afford to fly for some of these adventures. Cause my channel, I do adventures every week. So it's less of a lifestyle cabin channel and more of like an adventure channel that surrounds cabin life.
Yeah.
And so I can fly to these places, but people love to see Ellie. So it does hold me back on what I can do, I guess, because I usually end up having to drive. Now I have flown with her once before. And I may do that again because she sits in like I can have her like on like in the seat with me.
Wait, so how do you do that? These are my questions because my big girl, I want to do this with her, but I don't know how.
So between us, so there was a point. Well, between all
us
of us,
and the audience.
Between everybody now. They used to have emotional support animals, and it became this thing where like you could do it with anything. And I think they may be back to that, but at one point, because I was taking her home to Minnesota before I even lived back here. I lived in California still. I actually got her. She's technically a what do you call it? She's technically a service dog.
Yeah,
so
you can apply online.
Yeah, so like I have her little ID card.
No judgment here. I've considered it because I'm like, how do I get her on these adventures?
Exactly. And so I think they've returned to a more lenient system because my sister just flew out here and there was a toucan on the plane, which who knew you could do that? Yeah. So I think they're a little more lenient now.
Okay. I need to do more research. I like don't want to abuse the system too much, but also she's a trained therapy dog and she's really good. So she's not going to be like disrupting anyone, but
exactly. I think when it comes down to me, if it's not a disruption, like if your dog's being crazy, it's like, okay, don't do that. But if it's not a disruption, like you might as well do what you can.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You kind of mentioned, you started by mentioning your YouTube channel, which we're going to get to, but I kind of want to start before that because you are also an Emmy Award winning host and producer of a show called Rock the Park on ABC. So I kind of want to start there. And and actually you can tell me, it seems like that's the beginning of a lot of this. Is that where it all started?
Well, I think in the public eye, that's certainly the beginning. Yes. So I had this dream job for about 7 years that I guess continues now. I mean, it's kind of a continuation, but I grew up with my best friend Colton here in Minnesota, and we grew up loving to get out and explore and do all this stuff. And we ended up going to college in Montana together. And so we kind of continued to do that out there. Well, anyways, we would film these adventures, and this was really, I don't know, YouTube as we know it now wasn't a thing. It was there, but it wasn't quite a thing. Mm-hmm. We would film these adventures, and I would just show them to my friends and family. And my parents had always worked in media. My mom saw these and was like, hey, there might be an idea for a show here. And so I put together with my buddy this, we call it a sizzle reel. It's basically a trailer that you use to sell shows. And it was about us getting out and exploring national parks. And we sold it, and it became this series on ABC. It was an educational series. So it was like a Saturday morning show.
You really made that sound very easy. So we sold it, but it feels like going from sizzle reel to selling to ABC is like a journey.
It is. It's crazy because there was a lot of refining to do to that sizzle reel. I mean, that took like, probably 6 to 9 months of tweaking it. But there was a magic to it because like I've now been in the industry for a long time, and I've seen so many shows not get picked up, where there was just a magic to this show. I think on the one hand, it's that these places are just, they connect all of us. It's like, even if you want to look at it this way, it's like, it's even a bipartisan thing that everybody can agree on. Like, it doesn't matter what. I remember when the national parks, when the government shutdown happened, we've had this a few times, everybody's upset about it. There's just something about these places that brings people together. So you had that. And then there was just there's this chemistry that I have with my best friend. We grew up making movies together too for fun. So we kind of had this on camera chemistry as well. Everything kind of came together perfectly for this show. And then we found the perfect home for it. And I think that was also another thing, this Saturday morning TV block. It used to be Saturday morning cartoons, but it kind of became this educational block where these networks would fulfill like a government requirement of like, okay, if we're like a broadcast network, we have to have educational TV. So we were able to sell it there, and it became this awesome kind of, I think, this standout among those type of programs, because on the one hand, it was educational by nature, it's educational, but it was also very ambitious. We would climb mountains, like legitimate mountaineering. We would go on these big adventures, whitewater rafting through these like pretty crazy canyons and in Alaska and remote places. And so we really were pretty ambitious with the series. And so it became this kind of standout show. And so we sold that, and I got to do it for 6-7 years. And it was the best. Just such a great, just an amazing job, and just like an honor to be able to bring, the idea was to bring these places to kids, but anybody really,
right. Right.
So that was really cool.
So YouTube is this thing that has really allowed people to take off, but there's this element to it that I don't feel like enough people talk about, which is camera presence. And there's lots of people trying to make YouTube channels, but then there's people who just make you feel comfortable, like they were born in front of the camera, but actually so much so that you're not even thinking about it, right? That's the whole magic. Take the cameras out of it. You don't even feel like they're there. And when I was watching your Ellie video, what was so interesting is that, so I actually own a video production company, and I was noticing like how many different camera angles you had, which is something that like most people wouldn't be thinking about. Like, oh, he has not an aerial, but like a top down shot of what he's cooking. You were managing all of that and felt super comfortable talking to a camera when it was just you and a dog. And it feels like that came even before ABC. That came as a kid. You and Colton were doing this.
Totally. Yeah. It definitely is something that's a part of my DNA. Again, like I said, my parents. My mom was a television anchor. Then she started her own production company. My dad was a reporter.
Okay.
So it's kind of in my DNA.
Yeah, you were born with it.
Exactly. And so I carry that on today. And that's something that I really, really work hard to do is to really make these videos and things as immersive as possible. And that goes with getting all the different angles and shots that you need to tell the story and to do it well.
Yeah. Now, I will say, as I'm watching that, what I keep thinking about is something that I struggle with as a content creator and a human who loves being outside. To capture it really well, you end up spending so much of your brain power thinking about placing cameras and, oh, this is good content, I should be capturing this, and carrying gear. And it does. How do you manage that balance between this place that you love that brings calm and then capturing it for other people?
Yeah. So what I have to do is I have to set aside actual moments to enjoy it. And I don't say that where like I'm not enjoying it when I'm filming it. Thankfully, the production side of it is now, even my YouTube channel, it's a well-oiled machine. I don't really have to think too much about it. I know the shots that I'm about to get, so I don't have to really spend a lot of time, but it's the work of it. Like, it is hard work. So what I have to do to really enjoy these things is, like, if I'm climbing up to the top of a mountain or something, I'll be working. And then once I get to the top, like, I'll shoot most of the stuff I need, if not all of it. And then I kind of put the cameras down and enjoy it for a bit. Or a lot of times I'm doing that all day. And then, like, I try to wrap by, like, whatever. Sometimes it's well after dark, but then I'll just sit in my cabin. And that's my moment to be like, I decompress and enjoy it. But I will say, I think more than anything, because I love this so much, I try to do trips that are away from the camera. So tomorrow and this weekend, we're going up. That's really what I found that I need to do, is take these trips where I'm not filming to really enjoy it. And again, it's not that I don't enjoy it when I'm doing it, but I'm there with a bigger purpose, a mission to bring others into that and to deliver them that experience that I'm fortunate enough to have so often,
Yeah. And you do a really good job of it, because even the Ellie video, when I was watching that, I was like, one of the thoughts in the back of my head was, damn, I haven't been backpacking in too long. Right. And it's like, just by showing people, some people might never have been and might see it and want to try it for the first time. But for others, it's just a reminder of what we love and a push to do it more often.
Totally. And that's what I love. I love hearing people say, like, like, you inspired me to get out. I'm planning a trip now. And I think that's cool. And that's what it was for me. It's so funny. Before, I was doing Rock the Park, and then there was this, like, interim season during COVID where I wasn't doing anything. And I was watching a lot of these cabin life channels and camping channels, and it was doing that to me as somebody who's done this a lot, and so I love being able to help others with that as well.
When you started your YouTube channel, I mean, you've grown it. You have 300,000 followers. When you started it, what was the goal and what kind of content were you making? And then how has it grown and evolved, and, like, where is it now?
So it's so funny. When I actually, it's gone through 3 changes. At first, it was called Those Park Guys. So it was kind of like behind the scenes content during Rock the Park. Then I changed it to something called The Pursuit is Happiness. And it was basically a vlog, more of a vlog of me out filming those adventures with the show. So it's kind of, more vloggy, more rough around the edges. And then I moved to Minnesota. I built my first cabin that I built myself. And then I built a cabin on wheels, and I was still kind of in that Pursuit is Happiness realm. Essentially what happened was, I was with my wife, who was pregnant at the time, with our now 2-year-old daughter. And I wanted to do a vlog of this adventure we were on up on the North Shore here in Minnesota. And there were a bunch of things that happened where I couldn't, it just wasn't happening. And I remember being frustrated about that, because I was like, I really want to put out a video, whatever, but okay, we'll just enjoy this. Well, I then filmed a tour. I was like, I'm at least going to film, like, an updated tour of this cabin that I built. And I did that, and that video blew up. It was the first video of mine that ever blew up. I think before that I had like 2,000 subscribers or something, which
Wow.
no shade, if like that's
Right.
that's good, that's totally fine. But it blew up where it was like at 500,000 views, and I was like, "Oh, I need to do a tour of my A-frame cabin now." I did that, and that got like 400,000 views, and then I was like, "Okay,
There's something here."
yeah, maybe this is the thing, because I grew up loving these cabins. I grew up going to my cabin on, up here up north in Minnesota, and so I was like, this is the thing. Like, this is like Rock the Park. This is the organic thing that I'm doing that people are connecting with more so than like, here's my life doing whatever, and so I switched gears, and then it was this kind of process of figuring out, what is this channel? Like, like some of my early videos, it almost was like a homesteady, like off-grid type thing. And so I kind of like was figuring out what's working, what's not working. And I just came back to, again, somehow down the line, it's like, no, I'm an adventurer. And so I'm really grateful of this, that my channel has now become these things that I'm really good at. I can build these cabins, but it's not about like how good of a builder I am, because I'm not that great. It's not about like my off-grid life, because I don't live like I'm in a townhouse right now.
Yeah.
But I go on adventures, and that's what I'm really passionate about. Living simply in these places when I'm out in nature, and bringing people into these beautiful places that they may be able to see or may not be able to see.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I do today, and it's really great.
This is a great reminder, I think, for people who might be struggling. For the most part, I could be wrong, but I think most of our listeners are more active on Instagram than YouTube, because we're marketing cabins.
Sure.
But I think this is a good reminder that sometimes it takes a little bit to figure out what is the content that I love making, that is authentic to me, and that will resonate with the audience that I want.
Absolutely.
And I feel like hearing that from you gives me and others permission to do that. I think iterate is the word you use, which is such a good one, to play around and just figure out. And when something goes viral, that's information. It could be that you picked the right trending audio, but it's more likely that you showed something that people are interested in seeing. And that's helpful.
Yes, absolutely. And I think like if somebody is watching this that is in a space like where they're trying to do content creation, it's like, slowly experiment too. And see what works. Because the other thing that I'm super grateful for is like, eventually, like I did a video where I was like, okay, I'm going to stay in this like log cabin, like Adirondack style shelter, and let's see if people like that. And they seem to like it. And so then I was like, well, maybe I can try going to an Airbnb now, like a cool cabin Airbnb. And that becomes the hub of the adventure. I still do all these other things, but that becomes the hub. And people seem to like that. So then I did that. Then I started going to these Forest Service cabins. And what it has done, which I'm so grateful for this, is I have so many tools in my toolbox, so many different options where like people aren't like, oh, you have to be in this one cabin you built or we're not going to watch it. But that happened over time. And sadly, I do see a lot of my peers that get kind of pigeonholed into one box, and like for them it might not be interesting anymore, or they might not have too many options. It's like, how many times can I go in my whatever camper, and so I've been really grateful for that, and it's been fun. I know, as somebody who isn't kind of in that other like Airbnb space, it's so fun to see these cabins and get to go and also highlight these other places that people have worked so hard to put together. And
how does that work for you? Levi Kelly was one of the first interviews we did on the podcast, and I remember being super surprised that he said he's never once been paid by a cabin owner to go there. He makes his money from YouTube. So he did our cabin, and I didn't pay him. He just said like, hey, can I have one night? I'm going to come and film, and then throws it up on YouTube. And that's where he monetizes it. How do you collaborate with cabin owners or places that you're going? Like, what does the business model of that look like?
A lot of times, honestly, what I do most of the time, I would say I just book it on Airbnb.
Jack, really?
Yeah. And a lot of people I know, because I've had a lot of people who are like, you should really just reach out and whatever. And like, I think it depends. Because like, I have done that once before, and I actually kind of felt bad about it. Not because there's anything wrong with that, because you are promoting it, but I did it at this one place up in it's the North Shore region, so along Lake Superior in Minnesota. It's like our only mountain range. They're small, but they are little mountains and all this cool stuff. There's this outfit up there called Boreal Backcountry Cabins, and they are it's the coolest thing. It's these really awesome cabins that are along this long distance hiking trail called the Superior Hiking Trail. And I reached out to them and I did that. I was like, hey, I would love to come do a video there. Could we stay there for free? And then I got there and I felt kind of bad because like they're like a mom and pop, and they were like, they have a hard business model because you can't just drive there. You have to hike in.
Yeah.
So it automatically diminishes their like group of people. And I felt bad. I was like, I could afford to pay them, right?
Yeah.
Even because I am making money off of it, and I had a sponsor, so I was making money that way. And so nowadays, like I could totally do that, and I should do that because I could save some money. But a lot of times, I just book these places and use that as a travel expense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's nice of you. But as a cabin owner, I've done a ton of collaborations. I am happy if someone hits me up and is like, hey, I'll create this content for you. To me, that is payment. And so I'm like, cool. I don't feel like I'm shorted at all. You're being upfront about here's what I have to offer and here's what you can give me. Let's do that.
You know what?
It feels good.
And that's a good reminder to me because, there are times where like revenue is down, and like the other day, honestly, the other day, I'm looking at doing another daddy-daughter trip, and I was thinking, it'd be so much easier to do like an Airbnb instead of our little camper. And I was like, I don't know if I want to like spend that money right now. So maybe we'll just take our camper. I should probably just reach out.
Just pitch it to people. I mean, honestly, Jack, for some of the bigger folks with a larger following that get us exposure, we pay them to come and do that, right? So the thought, you were the first person I've ever heard say, other than I've heard some folks say the first couple ones they paid just so they had a portfolio. But I can't believe you're still paying for it. This is not a criticism. It's more just like,
no, I hear you. It is crazy. It kind of is crazy because it's true too. It's like I work my butt off, and like it does really promote these places in a good way. I'm not like a reviewer. I am not there to show anything, even if there was something negative about it. Like that is not what I'm there to do. So it's all positive, and I should totally be doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't wait to follow in the future and see when you start doing that. And if you ever want to come to Maine, well, you've heard the offer. We have a couple places in Maine. Just hit me up. I'll definitely give you a free stay in exchange for whatever content you want to create. Doesn't even matter.
I will, because we really want to come out there too. So,
yeah. Oh my God. It's the way life should be. You should definitely come. If you're dreaming about a cabin build, or are in the midst of a build, or you just bought a place and are getting ready to host for the very first time, regardless of where you are, sometimes you just need a little help along the way. Shared experiences from someone who's been there, advice from someone who's learned a lot of lessons the hard way. That's me. Or a cheerleader as you finish up. All of these reasons are exactly why I started offering cabin consultations to our Instagram followers and friends who could use some specific one-on-one help. I can't promise to solve all your problems, but I can promise to be transparent about our build costs and process, our organization and project management systems, our favorite and least favorite tools for renting, how we market, and how we found ourselves with almost 80,000 Instagram followers and 100% occupancy in our first year of hosting at Cozy Rock. So if that sounds like it might help you, feel free to visit us at staycozycabin.com or on Instagram at Cozy Rock Cabin and sign up for a time to chat there. So I guess my other question is then, a lot of folks who listen to this have I would say the majority of cabin owners who listen to this have Instagram accounts or websites. Very few of us have YouTube channels. And I guess I would ask you, as someone who seems very experienced in YouTube and video production, what would be the reason for someone to start a YouTube channel? And what would be your tips for starting it / barriers to entry? Because it feels a lot more intimidating than Instagram.
I suppose it depends on who we're talking about. I think if it's somebody who owns a property and is renting it out on Airbnb or something like that, I don't know if you need a YouTube channel, I guess.
Yeah.
I think Instagram is the place because it's where like people are getting a lot of this like inspiration of like, oh, I should go to this place. It's easy for people to tag, like anybody can tag you there.
Yeah.
Where YouTube, it's like if I'm on YouTube, I'm not really searching for like the place to stay on YouTube. I might be saying like Maine, the Maine woods or whatever. Like,
I almost feel like it's more because I found this with our Pinterest or YouTube as well. It's more for people who are trying to get inspiration / make something like yours, less of people trying to find a place to go versus Instagram. Someone might share it with you and say, hey, want to go on a trip here? And there's more of that like community around it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if you are the type that's just living a certain lifestyle and you want to do YouTube, that I think to me makes more like that seems natural to me. And you see a lot of people doing that. Like, okay, I've built this cabin. I may be renting it out on Airbnb, but I'm also in the process of building it.
Yeah.
I'm living here while doing, or you're just a guy like me or whatever, who's like, I built this cabin and I love to hang out and do it. Like, I want to make this my job, like sharing this with people. Then you can do it. I think the main thing people have to know about YouTube, and this is it's a pro and a con. The good part of it is like hard work pays off. I think if the more you put into it, I think the more eventually you'll get out of it. It's great for individuals. Like I'm so grateful that I was able to transition from like more of a corporatized like thing, this TV show, to doing my own thing on YouTube. But it took so long of me working hard, getting nothing out of it other than the joy of being out there and making videos and adventures. I got nothing out of it, and I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked, and now, well, for a couple of years now, it's been profitable or like something that we're able to do professionally full time. That's great for us as individuals. For these like, for the television industry, for production companies, the sad part of that is a good product may not catch on for a very long time. So it's hard to like say, okay, I'm going to invest this money into a YouTube channel, because you may not get any return on that.
It feels like such an uphill battle. And especially if you have experience in video production, at least you have that on your side. If you don't, then it's like that. Do I have to hire someone to shoot this? Do I need to learn how to shoot it? Do I have to hire someone to edit it? It feels so intimidating.
My advice is for anyone is to try to learn it. And hopefully, I think if you don't love what you're doing, you're going to fail anyways. So hopefully you love what you're doing and just do it because you love it and see what happens. And then obviously, have your main hustle too. But yeah.
Okay. I want to ask about your cabins. I can't believe we only have 20 minutes left. And I want to hear about your cabins. When did you make the switch? I love traveling and exploring new places. It's because there is this difference of like, I'm going somewhere else versus building your own cabin. Now, some of yours have been on wheels, but building your own cabin tends to be more, I'm going to go to this one place. I'm going to stay in one place versus traveling all over. How did that transition come about?
Yeah. So I grew up with this cabin that's been in my family. It was built in 1936 by my great grandpa. He with somebody else. But anyway, I've always had this place that was just this like romanticized feeling of being out in nature, simplicity, like all the stuff we love about getting away and going to cabins. And I always wanted to build one of my own. And so when I moved from Los Angeles to Minnesota, I was like, okay, this is my opportunity to do it. And at the time, there was this design that was kind of all over the place. It's this A-frame, but it transforms. You can pull up one of the walls and you can look out and it opens up. Well, I never built anything, so I wanted to have plans for my first build. And so I got the plans, but I didn't do the transforming wall. Instead, I put a wood stove in there because it was the winter and all that. And essentially, I built it because I was really sad to be leaving the West. All of these beautiful places that I like loved, the mountains, the desert, the coast, all of it. and I wanted something close to home. So this is on my parents' property, actually, to be able to go and to just kind of be in nature and be able to spend time, doing the things I love. Yeah. And so that's why I built that one first. And it was a game changer. I would spend all this time there. This was actually before our daughter was born. So I would spend time there, and it really helped me make the transition from, living, at the time I thought I was like living the dream, I had 10 years, and I was, but 10 years out West. Actually, more than that. I went to college in Montana, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm back in Minnesota. I'm back in my hometown. This is kind of a drag."
What brought you back?
So I lost that job with the guy. It was
with Colton.
No, well, so that show, Rock the Park ended during COVID. COVID kind of killed that. It was coming to an end anyways, and we had tried to pitch other shows and things, and it wasn't really going anywhere. COVID happened. I had this job building this glamping thing, which is that guy,
Ellie's former dad,
the Ellie story that ended under not great circumstances. It never saw the light of day, sadly, that project, which it was a cool project too. And my wife had a similar thing happen. She lost her job, and we were like, okay, it's time to leave California. It's just too expensive for us right now. And we thought we were going to end up in Colorado, but we did this road trip through Colorado, and we were checking out different places. We came here for the holidays to spend it with my family, and I built the cabin, and then things just sort of fell. You
built the cabin over the holidays?
Yeah. I built it in like 2 weeks. It's a tiny cabin. Oh my
God. I know, I saw it, but still.
Yeah. And things just fell into place, and it just seemed like I was back, like, hanging out with my friends. I'd always stayed in touch with them, but like I was kind of back in the circle with them, and it was just like, oh, and my dad, he was going through his cancer, journey, and so it just was like, okay, I think this is where we're supposed to be. And then just so many things opened up from that, and like I'm literally I love what I do now more than when I was doing Rock the Park and all that. It's just been an amazing thing. So anyway, that's kind of the story of how I built that first stationary cabin.
Yeah. And then that's turned into, you've built 6 since then. So how did it go from building 1? I can imagine there's an element of like, oh, I know so much more now. I want to like try again, but 6 more, has it become, do you sell them? Are they all for you?
I've sold 1. The dream was always to have one on wheels. So like in the Ellie origin story video, I had that portable cabin. Well, the dream was always to have one on wheels that I could take around. So I built one of those next, and it was very tiny.
Did you make the plans for that? I've never seen plans like that. Okay.
Yeah. So that one, I just kind of winged it. I had, I kind of understood now how to build something. And so I did that. I made a big mistake though. I built that one it's like a Harbor Freight trailer. It's a really weak trailer. And I didn't realize that. I thought all trailers were the same, Anyway, we took that down to Florida on a trip one time. And the trailer started breaking apart like on the trip.
With
and
the cabin on it.
I had to save it. Basically, I had to take it somewhere. They had to saw it off of like the trailer, and I had to buy a new trailer, and they put it on that. Anyway, then I ended up selling that one because it was too small. We were having our daughter. And so then I built one that's 7 by 12 on the right trailer this time.
Yeah.
And that has like a little kitchen in it. It has a full-size bed. It has a couch that I made out of a crib where you can put the one side on it and it becomes a crib. And so then from there, the YouTube channel was starting to do really well, and I wanted some other options for adventure. So then I built one that I tow behind an e-bike.
Yeah.
And so that one is pretty great. And now I use that too. I strap little skis on it and I pull it with my snowmobile.
I love that. I love that so much. So do you sell these plans now because you're creating all of them?
No, I don't sell the plans. I kind of wing it. I don't even draw plans.
Wow.
I draw like a basic thing like, okay, I'm going to make this wall, like the back wall be 7 feet tall and the front wall be whatever. But I don't really draw plans. I just kind of I go in and do a loose thing, and then I just do it. So I don't sell the plants. I did think about selling these because it is there's something really cool about being out in a cabin, especially when I'm out in these places. You see so many RVs, and there's nothing wrong with RVs, but the cabin just sort of fits in,
Yeah.
it just fits
Different.
yeah, I don't know. It's just I like that feeling. And so I thought about doing that, but then I realized like, that's not my expertise. I did work with somebody who was like a professional carpenter or builder, but it just didn't really work out at that time. And I was like, my expertise is kind of building these to then showcase this experience for people. The video is my expertise, and the adventuring. So I kind of fell back into that. But
so this makes sense, because this is like, I follow a fair amount of like DIY home renovation Instagram accounts, and it feels like they're constantly buying new houses because you need the content, right? So it feels kind of similar. It's like, okay, well, for the next 3 months, if I build another cabin that's different than the other ones, not only do I have content of the build, but then I also have content of how we adventure with that one that looks different than the previous ones.
Totally. But and I will continue to do that. It's just so funny. And this is why I'm so grateful. People now show up for the adventure and the feeling of wherever we are. And so that's why I say, like, I've had people say, I love your cabins, but like, I really love seeing you out in these Forest Service cabins or whatever. And so like, for me, I'm just, again, as like the creator, like, I'm so grateful for that, because it takes the pressure off. Like, I don't have to build a new one every couple weeks. Now, with that being said, I did just build a new one, and that was more for practical reasons. And it's great. It's a smaller one. It's a 5x8 trailer again. But it's shorter. My first 5x8, you could stand in. It was this massive tower, but now this one's smaller, so it tows really well. It gets better gas mileage, but it still has a bed. It still has like a table in there, a wood stove, all this stuff. And I just took that to Wyoming, and we spent a week, Ellie and I, living out of it, and it's great. So now these cabins are more utilitarian, I guess. Like, I build them actually to make my life, to make my life better or easier when I'm out doing these things, which is fun.
This feels like the appeal of van life, because I feel like, to your point, RVs have been around forever, but they've never really been trendy. There've been like niche,
sure,
but vans have become really trendy. And I think it's because you can decorate or design the inside so that it almost feels like a cabin. But it sounds like what you're doing is a more affordable way than actually buying a van.
100%. This last cabin I built, I want to say the trailer costs like, I think the trailer costs like $2,800. The rest of the build, maybe it was another like $2,500.
Oh
so,
my God.
Yeah, it's
I
cheap.
need to get Sean to do this.
Yeah, it's cheap. And then things will add up, because you'll be like, oh, I forgot this and I need that. But like,
okay, but we're at 5,000. So if it goes up a little bit, I've got some wiggle room. This is not
it's so funny to look back. I sold my original cabin on wheels to be able to afford to build my next one. I sold it for $5,000, which was taking a loss at the time, even though I put a lot into like fixing it. That was what the thing was. And it's so funny. My new one, which is like the biggest one I have, like cost, I think it was $6,500 to build or something.
If you're ever looking to sell one of those, Sean's from Minnesota. We will drive and come get it, because we have talked about van life forever. But one of the downsides of it is you have to maintain that vehicle, right? Like it only has the lifespan of that vehicle, versus a tow behind is like, I know, other than the trailer, but it could last so much longer without any of those concerns.
Absolutely. I love it. And I love the fact that you can just leave it, you park it, and then like you can drive away and go do your thing and come back. And it's really great.
Where do you normally park it? Do you go to like campgrounds?
I prefer to do like the dispersed camping thing, where like you find Forest Service land where you can do that legally, and you find these little campsites all over the place. But I do campsites now, especially if I'm with my family, to be safe. Like I'll like reserve a campground somewhere. I always look for like off the beaten path ones, but I'll do that so like we're not because I've had this. We're not driving around at like dark. I'm trying to find a campsite. And my daughter's like tired and whatever, So it's a mixture, but I'll do both campsites and kind of off-grid campsites.
Okay. I love this. I want to ask a little bit about your experience in glamping because I was obviously reading about this on your website that you create glamping sites and then you also project manage them. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that kind of comes from my experiences a few years back. Yeah, so like what I became kind of good at was finding ways to make camping experiences really comfortable for anybody. And so that comes in two different uh avenues. One could be like what I did with that guy, creating an actual on-site thing where we put together an awesome accommodation, whether it be like a bell tent or even one of these little A-frames, and then we build out a camp, make sure it has all the amenities that people are looking for, whether from having the right like bathrooms situation and stuff like that to cooking cooking setups where you have a little kitchen hub where people can come together and communally either cook meals and hang out or whatever. Or the other side is creating off-grid camps. So being able to take people and set up like a glamping experience in a destination somewhere. And so also during that COVID time, I did a bunch of stuff. I was guiding these trips to Joshua Tree with somebody, and we did that. We kind of created these like off-grid camps and then guided experiences from there.
Wait, so it's like a glamping, but it's portable. So you go to a destination, set it up for that event, and then tear it all down, and it goes with you. Wow. Okay.
Yep. And so that's kind of where that portable cabin idea, that was kind of my prototype for that. It was like, how can I set up a tent that feels really homey and is comfortable and can be torn down and moved around. That setup, it was funny. I was living in an apartment. My whole cabin, fit inside my closet. So
I love that though, because if you want it to be portable, then that efficiency has to be a part of it. Otherwise, 100%. It's just a pain in the ass. You don't want to do it again.
Yeah, you never want to do it.
Right. If you make it as convenient as you can, then adventure becomes that much easier to do.
Exactly. And you have to have it in perspective too, because like it still would take me like an hour to set up. An hour compared to, a 2-day trip, easy. Like that's worth it.
Yeah.
But nowadays I do these like 24-hour trips to basically not be away from my family as long. And because I have this drive up, trailer, park it, that's a lot easier.
Yeah, you get to spend more time outside. Okay, I'm going to ask you our last question, and I'm very interested because you have done all different kinds of cabin projects. But the question I always ask everyone is, what makes a cabin a cabin? So I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the defining characteristics of a cabin?
I think a cabin is it's simplicity. Whatever that looks like to you. That doesn't mean, no running water, no shower, any of that, but it's simplicity. It's attached to nature. Again, whatever that looks like to you. My cabin, that kind of changed my perspective on where I'm living now. Is surrounded by homes up on a hill, it's down in the woods, but it's surrounded by, it's not way off in the wilderness. Yeah. So I think simplicity, attached to nature, and this is what it is to me, but it's quality time spent with loved ones. Now, whether that's my dog, my family, friends, I think a cabin is about sharing the space and celebrating life with others, whoever that is to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Jack, for joining us and for sharing so much. Can you tell people where they can find you? We're going to drop this in the show notes as well for anyone listening if you're driving. But where can folks find you?
Sure. The main thing would be on YouTube. My channel is called Tiny Cabin Life. And so if you're into just like real immersive, I try to make them cinematic, these experiences out in nature, adventures, but also maybe some cabin inspiration, whether it's Airbnb style, Forest Service style, or my own little cabin on wheel creations, go there. And then I do have an Instagram. It's just Jack F. Steward, or you search Tiny Cabin
with
Life,
an eye roll.
Probably find it. Yeah, it's like, okay, I should have made that easier. That's my middle initial. But
oh my gosh, Jack, my business name is Big Dog Little Bed Productions. 13 years ago. And I'm like, well, that's a mouthful. Could have done that a little bit better. But Jack F. Stewart doesn't feel like too much.
Yeah, I guess it's not that bad.
No, you're fine. It was great to meet you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thanks so much for joining us. And if you liked what you heard, feel free to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or share some of your favorite parts over on Apple Podcast. If you have feedback or suggestions for the future, you can also find me on Instagram at Cozy Rock Cabin. Looking forward to next week.